Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for clicking on this and for being interested in my Accutane journey. I hope you like this video and subscribe and stick around. And if you're not new here, literally, thank you so much for always supporting me and for coming back. So today's video is going to be all about my journey on Accutane / my skin journey in general. It may be a little bit of a longer one, so pause, grab a snack, grab something to drink, and let's get going. So I started Accutane in September-ish of 2020, and I did it until about April of 2021. So it's actually been a whole year since I've done Accutane, and I wanted to make sure to make this video with absolutely zero face makeup on so that you could see exactly what my face looks like now, a year after being off of Accutane. Let's go back to the start of my journey. So I suffered from acne pretty much all of my teen adult life. In high school, I would say my acne wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best. I definitely had acne, but I had a lot of friends who had more like cystic acne than I did. Thankfully, I was never too insecure about my acne. Of course, everybody has insecurities and things that they think about and think that everybody's looking at, and my acne has always been one of them. But in high school, I would say it didn't affect me too bad. And then once I graduated high school and went on to college, I definitely saw my skin getting worse. So in high school, I did visit a dermatologist. I actually probably visited like 3 or 4 dermatologists in attempts to find something to cure my acne. They always gave me topicals and, you know, toners and whatever, any sort of like topical medicine you could think of, like tretinoids and retinoids and whatever. I basically tried almost all of them in the span of like high school and college. When I got to college, my acne got significantly worse, still not at its peak yet, but it did get worse, and I went to the dermatologist and requested to go on birth control to see if that would help. I wouldn't say birth control ever really helped my acne. If one thing, it maybe regulated my acne in a sense where I definitely knew the week before my period I was gonna get more acne than usual. That's basically it. It didn't really do much else. After that was no sign of improvement, I then went on antibiotics, tetracycline, I don't know. And I think another antibiotic as well. The thing about antibiotics, especially back when I was in college, is you're not really supposed to be drinking when you're on antibiotics. It's pretty harsh on your liver. So I didn't really love the idea of being on an antibiotic because in college, your girl was raging face. And I tried pairing the antibiotics with other topicals as well. Nothing was really working. In high school, it was sort of, okay, this isn't working, but was teenage Lindsay really doing a great job of putting on her topicals and washing her face every day? Probably not. College Lindsay cared a little bit more about skincare and definitely took it a little more serious. All in all, everything I tried from all the dermatologists never really worked. Cut to after college, I definitely got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm going to care more about my skincare. That was also the time where like makeup artists on YouTube were really, really big, and so, you know, you'd learn skin prep from them. I really started to take my skincare super seriously. I didn't really see an improvement. I tried Curology. If you don't know what Curology is, it's basically a company where you take a quiz and send them pictures, and then they give you like a special formula formula just for your face, and that kind of helped. I never ever saw any sort of significant improvement in like anything that I tried. Into my adulthood, my acne started getting worse. Part of the reason I started focusing more on the skincare is because my acne got probably the worst it ever was. It was definitely becoming a big insecurity of mine. I would get big hurting, like big bumps. Every single year I'd get this one forehead pimple on my birthday without fail. I was just distraught. My acne was getting horrid. I had a couple of friends who did Accutane, so I decided to do my research and go on it. So hopefully if you're watching this video right now, you may be doing your research as well, and kudos to you. And I just want to put out a disclaimer. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. Imagine. This is not in any way, shape, or form any sort of medical advice, and definitely if you are considering Accutane, go talk to your dermatologist about it. This is just my experience on Accutane, how my journey went, and yours may be different, but a lot of the side effects you experience will probably be similar. So I first went to go talk to my doctor in like late July or August of 2020. And just so you know, if you want to start Accutane, if you are a person who is able to give birth, you are going to have to wait a month until you actually start the Accutane. So if you feel like Accutane might be something you want to do, go see your doctor sooner rather than later, because even if you're still undecided about it, you have a month before the process can even begin to decide if you really want to do it. And this is because you absolutely cannot be pregnant while you're on Accutane. Accutane is a very hard medicine and it is bad for babies. It will cause deformation in your fetus, and you do not want to be pregnant on Accutane. They actually like literally do so much to prevent you from getting pregnant. You have to get initial blood work done as well as a pregnancy test done, just to see that everything in your liver is okay and that you're not pregnant, and then wait a month until you get your period again, take another pregnancy test, and once you're in the clear, there's absolutely no way that you are pregnant, you can then start Accutane. That's something that I didn't really think about before, and I was pretty bummed because as soon as I was ready to start Accutane, like I was ready to go. No, you're gonna have to wait a month, so the sooner you go in and talk to your doctor about it, the better. Something else you have to do to be on Accutane is join this program called I Pledge, which is essentially a program all about safe sex and not getting pregnant. You have to pledge to the program that you will be using 2 forms of birth control. Every single month, go on there and take a quiz about not getting pregnant, safe sex essentially, and make sure that you understand the risks of getting pregnant on Accutane. You have to do that every single month. You have to go on, take this little quiz before they refill your prescription. You also have to see your dermatologist every single month in order to be on Accutane. So you have to go get your blood work done, see your dermatologist, and do your little I Pledge quiz. So there is kind of a lot of tedious little steps in taking Accutane. And then another thing that didn't really come to mind to me before starting Accutane is that on Accutane, as well as for a period of time after you finish Accutane, you will not be allowed to get any sort of waxing, tattoos, piercing, anything to do with your skin, laser hair removal, stuff like that, you're not allowed to do. Even facials, if you go in to get a facial and you tell your esthetician that you're on Accutane, they'll give you a facial that includes like the least harsh product. You shouldn't really be doing any sort of microdermabrasion or anything like that while you're on Accutane. And you also want to limit your sun exposure. So I recommend, if the timing permits for you, that you don't necessarily do Accutane over the summertime, especially if you're someone who likes to be outdoors. However, just wear a lot of sunscreen, like a lot of sunscreen, and stay in the shade during the time you're on Accutane. Your skin gets very, very sensitive and you will burn if you are in the sun long enough. So by the time I was done with all the tests and everything and was finally able to start Accutane, the first month to 2 months being on Accutane were absolutely the hardest on me personally. Now, not everybody experiences this. Actually, most of the friends that I have that did Accutane did not experience this. My skin purged every bit of acne out of my body that it could, and it was horrible. Whatever insecurities I had about my skin before were 10 times worse at this point on my Accutane journey. My skin was the worst it's ever been. I would literally cry about it almost every night, not only because I was like insecure about it, but also it hurt. My acne was literally painful. If you suffer with acne, you may have had like a painful pimple here and there before, but every pimple I was getting was super painful. I was getting huge, like mountains on my face, pimples with like 5 heads. It was actually insane the way my skin initially reacted to the Accutane, and I was so unhappy with my skin. I'm really, really lucky that I grew up a pretty confident person, but of course, like I said, everybody has insecurities, and my skin was always one of my biggest. And at this point in my life, when it was at its absolute worst, it was the biggest insecurity I've ever experienced. And I'm not really somebody who wears makeup on a day-to-day basis. Having that bad of acne and not covering it up almost made me feel dirty, which sounds like really, really weird, but that's just how I felt. I felt like no matter how much I washed my face, my skin looked unhygienic just because I had all these pimples. And of course, everything that you experience in regards to insecurities is 1,000 times worse in your head. When you have acne and you think people are like staring at it all day long, I promise you they're not. You are way more hyperfixated on it than they are, I promise. So after the first month when I went to see my derm, she told me about 30% of people will experience this really bad purging with their skin. So hopefully you're a lucky one and you don't, but if you do, just stay patient and keep pushing through. She then asked me if I wanted to be on an antibiotic on top of my Accutane, which I did. I basically was desperate for any sort of solution to how bad my acne had gotten that I was willing to go on another antibiotic while being on Accutane just to speed up the process, essentially. Now, I had a pretty unique experience with that because the antibiotic that she prescribed me was a sulfate something, and I then found out from that antibiotic that I'm allergic to sulfa meds. So that was a very unique situation. I'm not gonna tell you to go on or not go on an antibiotic while you're also on Accutane. Personally, if I could go back, I would not do it again. I ended up in the hospital for the first time ever trying to figure out what was going on with me. Turns out it was the sulfa medication that I was allergic to. Then after the whole hospitalization fiasco and everything, I was back to just being on the Accutane. That part actually really scared my mom. She wanted me to stop the Accutane, but I knew it was the antibiotic. The doctors knew it was the antibiotic. I instantly stopped that and felt better and continued on with the Accutane. They sent me in for extra blood work just to be safe. Then by the 3rd and 4th month, my acne had gotten better than the first couple of months, but still not better than it usually was. So I would say I was back to my usual acne for like the 3rd, 4th, and 5th month of Accutane. So that's something in my experience that I want to stress, is that while I was on Accutane, my skin was still bad. I had friends who got on it and instantly their skin cleared up. They finished it and they're clear, and I was so afraid that the Accutane was not gonna work for me, because you take the Accutane for 6 months in total, and by month 5, my skin was still pretty bad. So I just felt so discouraged. I felt like it wasn't gonna work. So to jump into some of the side effects really quick of Accutane, the biggest #1 side effect that if you watch anybody's videos about Accutane, if you do any research at all on Accutane, you will find is dryness. Your skin dries the heck out when you're on Accutane. Essentially what Accutane does is it dries out your oil glands so that you no longer produce oils in your skin, and then somehow that clears your acne. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, but you get so dry. Your lips get chapped, your skin might peel, your ears get dry, your hands get dry, my knuckles would crack, like you get so dry. Something that I would 1000% recommend to anybody who is on Accutane would be water, water, water. Drink an obscene amount of water. If you think you drink a lot of water now, times that by 2. I personally feel as though my dryness compared to other friends that I have that did Accutane was not that bad, and I honestly credit a lot of it to the amount of water that I would drink daily. Another thing that you're gonna need are products that are very, very moisturizing. My #1 thing that I recommend, my Lord and Savior, was CeraVe Healing Ointment. This stuff is amazing. I would slather it on my lips and on my hands and feet and everywhere. My other holy grail product that I will recommend to you is the Laneige Lip Sleeping Mask as a lip balm. Like, use it as your chapstick, because not only is it super duper moisturizing and helps make your lips feel a lot better, it's also really cute. So it's a cute little like lip gloss. I know it's a lip sleeping mask, but literally I use that crap every day, every minute as my lip balm, essentially. If you want to know like what moisturizers and everything I was using on Accutane, I can do a whole separate video on that. There are other side effects of Accutane as well. Something that is so weird, and I don't know if this is actual science or not, but I have seen people post TikToks about this. I swear to God, Accutane gave me a free nose job. I am not kidding you. My nose has not been the same since I did Accutane. 1000% looks smaller. I actually also did lose a bit of weight while I was taking Accutane, so that may be it as well, but I swear, like, it is not the same nose. I can't guarantee that you'll also get a free nose job, but I have seen people on TikTok say they also feel the same way. So that's just one of the side effects I experienced. Another side effect of Accutane that can be kind of scary is Accutane can cause some mental health problems. So definitely be transparent with your doctor if you feel any sort of way on Accutane. If you are feeling excessively sad, you need to let your doctor know. So then I finally got to my last month of Accutane, and let me tell you, this was the best month of my life. I finally saw my acne clear up. My skin was getting so much better. I was so happy. I could like see a light at the end of the tunnel that I did not see the entire time I was on Accutane. So like I said, if you experience this where your acne does not get any better when you get on Accutane, it might even get worse when you get on Accutane, do not lose hope. I swear, my acne did not clear up till the last month, and it cleared up. Let me tell you, I could see such a big difference. People could see such a big difference. It was insane. That last month, they also did put me on a higher dosage. So when I started Accutane, your very first month, they will put you on a smaller dose. I believe I was on 40 milligrams at first, 2 20s a day. For month 2 to 4 or 2 to 5, I was on 60 milligrams a day. And the last month or the last 2 months, they ramped it up to 80 milligrams a day. So they really kicked it into gear and made sure that sucker worked. Needless to say, I was absolutely thrilled about the way my skin was starting to look. I was so happy. I still am so happy with my skin today. So to kind of segue into now, my skin and my my skincare and everything like that. I am 1000% so much better about my skincare nowadays. As I said, I'm filming this video with no makeup on, so you can see here I actually do have a couple of pimples. I am on my period right now, and I tend to break out a little bit when I do get my period, especially if I was a little bit off about taking my birth control. Obviously, my hormones are gonna go a little wonky, and I notice that I get a little bit more breakouts than usual. Other than that, I generally don't really get pimples. It's pretty rare. I get complimented on my skin all the time. I tell people all the time that I did Accutane because first of all, it changed my life, and second of all, I don't want to take credit for the skin. It was definitely all the Accutane. I'm just so happy with how it looks now. Going into whether or not I would do it again, 1,000,000%. Well, here's the thing. So you can do Accutane multiple times, and some people do have to do multiple rounds of Accutane. Would I do another round of Accutane? I honestly might. If my skin started getting to a point where I started seeing these kinds of breakouts more frequently, I might consider going on a second run of Accutane just to really clear that up. That being said, I don't want to go on another round, and I'm not considering it right now, but never say never. Would I do it over again knowing the side effects? Yes, 1,000,000 times over again. So if Accutane is something you are considering, if you are at that point with your skin where you've tried everything, nothing is working for you, and you're considering Accutane, as long as you talk to your doctor and your body can take you taking Accutane, then I say go for it. It honestly changed my life. Like, not to be dramatic, but just to not be thinking about my skin and if someone's staring at this pimple, and when I do my makeup, not having pimples that are hard to cover. To me, it was just worth it, but I had really bad skin. So I'm just gonna go over some questions that I feel like I get asked when I talk about Accutane. So the first one is, were you scared to do Accutane at all? Yeah, in a sense, I was scared of the dryness, but I wasn't really thinking that anything like a hospitalization would happen. I had a good amount of friends that had been on it before, so I feel like that helped calm my nerves, having seen them go through the process. Was it expensive? So that will just depend on your insurance and your dosage. I personally had to pay $10 per pack of Accutane, and I needed 2 packs to last me through the month, and a pack comes with like 3 packs of Accutane. I believe I had to take it twice a day. When my prescription went up, I believe then it went up like another $10 or so. All in all though, I probably spent less than $100 on all of the prescriptions, including the antibiotics I was prescribed and everything. And then I also had a $20 copay every time I visited my dermatologist, which was 8 times with 1 appointment before I started, 6 appointments for the 6 months, and then 1 follow-up appointment as well. Things I wish I knew before I started Accutane. Oh, something that is really odd. I had a couple of cartilage piercings that were healed. I had them for a year, but the Accutane really dried out my ears and made it so that my earrings got crusty, and I had to take them out, which then caused my holes to close. So that is something unfortunate that I wish I would have known before Accutane. Kind of stunk, but it is what it is, and I can get those re-pierced, so it's fine. Another thing about being on Accutane is the medicine is so harsh that you don't necessarily need to be using any other harsh kinds of products. So while you're on Accutane, you want to stay away from like exfoliants and harsh chemicals, like chemical peels, masks, stuff like that. You don't necessarily want to do any of that. Even serums and spot treatments and everything, just because the Accutane is so strong that like honestly just a little bit of a waste of product to use anything else that's meant to clear your acne. The Accutane will do its job. Essentially, I only used a moisturizing cleanser moisturizer, and sunscreen while I was on Accutane. That is it. That's all I would put on my skin every single day, and every night just the cleanser and moisturizer. And that's kind of honestly what I still do now. I throw some stuff in here and there, but you really do not need a whole lot of products while you're on Accutane. And then sun exposure. Limit your sun exposure on Accutane. You do not want to get a sunburn on Accutane. Your skin is just going to be so sensitive to everything. One of the biggest things that I was told, and I'm really glad I knew when I started Accutane, is your skin is, like I said, going to be absolutely so sensitive, and it isn't really going to heal properly, which is why you can't get piercings, tattoos, etc. And so that means if you are to pick at your face while you're on Accutane, like when I was purging, I could not touch those pimples because they are not going to heal properly, and you are going to leave yourself with scars. You honestly shouldn't touch your face in general, but if you're on Accutane especially. Are you done with Accutane forever? Like I said, I might go on it again if I ever needed to. I definitely think if my skin started getting bad breakouts again, I would see it worth it to go on Accutane again. Something that I really want to do now that my skin is completely healed from being on Accutane is laser treatment on my acne scars. So I kind of always had these acne scars even before I did the Accutane. I have them on both sides of my cheeks, and I would love to do a laser treatment to try to minimize those. That is just something that is really expensive, so something that I definitely need to save up for or budget for, or maybe ask for Christmas, Mom. So yeah, I think that's about everything. That is my Accutane journey. It was a really hard journey for me. Like I said, I was really insecure about how my skin looked, mostly while I was on Accutane, even more so than before. If you do go on Accutane, remember, water, and be patient. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've stuck around to the end, literally, thank you. That is so sweet of you. If you have any questions at all about Accutane, ask me in the comments. I will 1000% answer them. And if you would like to see any videos related to my skincare routine now, or my favorite products while I was on Accutane, just let me know down below. I'd be more than happy to do any of that because I love my skincare routine currently. So that is pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. If you got this far in the video, I am incredibly grateful for you. And if you're doing your research for Accutane yourself, I wish you all the best of luck on your Accutane journey. Keep watching other people's videos, talk to your dermatologist, ask as many questions as you can think of. If you liked this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, and please make sure to subscribe to my channel. I post new videos every single Tuesday, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Was that weird? What if you just put like all of those in?